this judge continues to fine him some $10,000 so far for alleged violations of what is, to me, clearly an unconstitutional gag order. You went to Harvard undergrad, Yale Law School, and have written some great op-eds that I thought were so insightful and really genius, even before you started to run for president. So here's Trump yesterday saying, you know what? Because the judge there said, if you violate it again, I don't want to do this to you, Mr. Trump, but I may have to put you in jail. And here was Trump speaking to that yesterday.
I have to watch every word I tell you people. You ask me a question, a simple question, I'd like to give it, but I can't talk about it. Because this judge has given me a gag order and said you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day. But what's happening here is a disgrace.
All right, so I'll get to the media reaction to that. But what do you make of the real threat now? It's a real threat that they may put the former president of the United States and likely, certainly GOP nominee back in.
Look, I think that it will automatically backfire instantly politically, even though they intend it in the other direction. But the question is this a First Amendment violation or not? I believe it is, because when you have a president in the middle of a political election, a presidential election, who cannot defend himself against what are fundamentally political attacks against them, or even debates that have major political consequences in the middle of an election, and then you try to stifle that person from speaking, engaging in political speech in the middle of an election. And they've absolutely made this a relevant issue in the election. So the idea that this is not political speech is nonsense. That is an affront to the Constitution. And if we are a country that prizes one thing, it is a country that allows you to criticize the government. And if they're saying that this man cannot criticize the government, that would be a First Amendment violation no matter who it is. But it's a First Amendment violation on steroids when it is a political candidate who is unable to criticize the government led by the political party that he's actually running against. So then the question is, are these entire charges themselves politicized in the first place, or are we talking about this technical legal sphere that's different from the realm of politics? I think if you look at the merits of this case, Megyn, frankly, there are none. That's what actually makes this a political exercise in the first place. Just go to the heart of the legal theory that Alvin Bragg is pushing against Donald Trump. It's just worth taking seriously. What exactly is that legal theory? A lot of people have a lot of trouble saying what Alvin Bragg is even pursuing, and for good reason, because the charges are vague.
Everybody who's honest has trouble saying it.
Nobody has any idea what Donald Trump is exactly being prosecuted for, but I'm going to give the clearest statement that I think I can, because it's worth smoking out. It's even uglier once you see what it is. The basic theory of this case is the underlying crime, besides the falsifying business records misdemeanor, the thing that makes it allegedly a felony, is that Donald Trump, according to Alvin Bragg's theory of the case, should have used campaign funds to make a personal hush money payment. Well, let's just try the other foot. If Donald Trump had used campaign funds to make a personal hush money payment, the prosecution would arguably have a stronger case to go after him for that, right? That would be a misuse of campaign funds. People who normally give to political campaigns to advance political causes. Well, if you're using that to advance personal goals, including making personal hush money payments instead, they would be prosecuting him for that. So that's a perfect litmus test for whether a prosecution is politicized or not. If the defendant had done the exact thing that in this case the prosecutor is saying he should have done and could have been prosecuted for it, then that means they were going to get him going or get him going coming. And it does not matter what the actual underlying behavior was. And so that's what we're seeing today. That's what this alleged prosecution is about, is really fulfilling, speaking of campaigns, a campaign promise, and it was a campaign promise, made by Alvin Bragg before he was elected to the position that he's in, which is to go after Donald Trump. And so if the whole thing's a political exercise, this is just a cherry on top, saying that he can't even respond to those political attacks at behest of imprisonment. Our founding fathers wouldn't be rolling in their graves. They'd be doing backflips. But the ultimate irony on all of this, Megyn, is if that does happen, I think most Americans are poised to see right through it. And this will backfire on steroids as well, just as the prosecutions have in propelling Donald Trump to the presidency.
I think you're right. I really think you're 100% right. You have a great point about criticizing the government and how that in particular should be allowed. As it is allowed, and this judge recognized that it's allowed. But the thing about the jury was really galling to me, because why can't Trump criticize the jury? He didn't say juror number 4 is a hack. He said, and he got fined for this. He said, and I just pulled it up, That jury was picked so fast, 95% Democrats. The area's mostly all Democrat. And the latter clause seemed to be a modifier because he realized maybe he shouldn't be technically speaking specifically about these jurors. But why shouldn't he? Why can't he say the jury's mostly all Democrats? That's his opinion, having sat there day after day through voir dire. And that, too, is an attempt to say you're not allowed to get the public ready for what's going to be a verdict against you, in all likelihood, because they're partisan opponents of yours. He just got fined $1,000 for pointing that out. That can't be okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people really, it becomes difficult when you're sorting out what does the First Amendment protect and what doesn't it. So I have a simple rule of thumb here, Megyn, but let's just take the different things that people will say. Well, yes, the First Amendment protects speech, but it does not protect incitements to violence. It does not protect fraud. It does not protect making false statements in a commercial context. That's fraud. It does not protect interfering in the proceedings of a court. So if you're trying to distill it down to one thing, what is just from a First Amendment perspective, the First Amendment protects all opinions. That's what it protects, right? An opinion, no matter how heinous it is, no matter how much you disagree with it, no matter how unpleasant it is to hear, no matter the context, the First Amendment protects all opinions. And so long as Donald Trump is actually expressing an opinion, grounded in facts that he's also citing to bolster his opinions, it's protected speech as far as I'm concerned. That's true if it's Donald Trump or anybody, right? Anybody expressing an opinion about a trial during their own defense. Now, against the backdrop of the political context of this trial, it's unambiguous as you're expressing an opinion in the context of a political election where that trial would not have happened but for that election. That makes this a cut and dry case where he should absolutely be able to say anything he absolutely wants about those jurors. And specifically, he was actually talking about the selection process of those jurors that makes this unobjectionable. And so in many ways, is Donald Trump going to be hurt by that fine? No. I mean, if you think about the amount he's paying per second in legal fees, it's probably in excess of those fines. You know what? The judge indirectly may have actually done him and done all of us and done this country a favor by exposing how rotten this entire process is. If he takes that next step and puts him in jail, I think it would be regrettable for this country. I think it would set an awful precedent. I think we should be ashamed as American citizens on the global stage, having other countries looking at us, throwing a former U.S. president in prison for daring to engage in political speech in the middle of an election. If that happened in a different country, we would call that a banana republic or the stuff of autocracy. But happening here as an American citizen, I would be embarrassed as others look at our country. But ironically, I think it will continue to have the effect that all of these sham prosecutions have had, which is to further put Americans on the side of Donald Trump, even the ones who otherwise would not have been. Because it's not that they're on Trump's side even, it's that they're on the side of justice in this country, one standard of the rule of law, and the idea that you get to speak your mind freely. And if you're going to get put in jail for doing that, if they do it to Donald Trump today, they're going to do it to somebody else tomorrow. And I think it's disgusting. And I think that most Americans see through that as well.
A recent survey found that 7 in 10 parents get an average of 3 hours of sleep a night in their baby's first year. Wow. Moms, you deserve quality sleep. And here's a solution: Cozy Earth. Discover the secret to better sleep with Cozy Earth's luxurious bedding products and get an exclusive Mother's Day offer just for you. Use the code Megyn, M-E-G-Y-N, for 35% off at CozyEarth.com. Cozy Earth bedding products are crafted with temperature-regulating technology, adapting to your body's needs through all phases of motherhood. Worried about commitment? Enjoy a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty on all purchases. Built to last through the hardest days and longest nights of motherhood. This Mother's Day, treat mom to the luxury she deserves with Cozy Earth bedding and sleepwear, and prioritize self-care and sleep health. Head on over to CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code Megyn for 35% off, and after placing your order, select podcast in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Thank you so much for doing that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.